Right, welcome back. After all of your suggestions, and I really thank you for them, I've managed to sort out the gap issue between the bottom lip of the canopy to the sidewall of the main fuselage. Um, of all the suggestions that I received, using Tamiya Extra Thin to melt down some little cubes of sprue, to other modelling putties, I would have had to buy some in anyway because I've never used Tamiya Extra Thin, and on eBay and Amazon it's going for like £7 to £10 a bottle. I can get it for £4.20 from my local hobbycraft. It's just getting up to my local hobbycraft. So what I've done is I've done a bit of research and I've managed to find a nice grey putty, and it was really cheap off eBay as well. So I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you my work so far. Right, so turning the camera around, the product in question that I managed to find was this stuff, AK Interactive's grey modelling putty. Comes in like a square box, and then it comes in like a toothpaste style tube. It's a shame it doesn't come with one of those applicator nozzles like on the Vallejo modelling putty. And then it's got like a toothpaste style consistency, as you can see there. So you have to apply this with a brush or a spreader, and that cost me £5.40 off eBay. It was like £4.05 for the product itself, and £1.35 postage. So I've got a bit on my finger, so I've had to clean it off. So just using a little piece of plastic as an applicator, as a spreader. On this side the gap weren't as prevalent, it was quite small actually, the gap was, so the grey putties took care of that. So I just spread it with my little piece of plastic, let it dry. Now it takes like 10 minutes to touch dry, which I thought was really good, and then probably about a couple of hours to dry after that, fully cured. So once it dried, I then put a second application on, and that's not too bad. I've still got to take care of that lip. I'll explain that in a moment. The bottom lip. Now on this side, you know how the gap was really wide? It was probably about 1 to 1.5 mil wide. It was actually bigger this side, and then it started to get smaller and smaller as I got up to the back of the canopy. But the putty wouldn't fill that in 100%. So what I did, because it was too big of a gap to fill in with that putty, if you remember my old sheet sign plastic that I had from a previous job, I left that job, to 2017, so I've had this for a few years. This is what's left of my sheet plastic, and as you can see, it is quite thick. So I think that's about 1 mil to 1.5 mil thick. I cut off me a little strip like this one. Here's one I made earlier, as you would on Blue Peter. So I just cut the little bit of strip off, and then what I did, once I got it right and sanded it, I then test fitted it, and I shoved it, like lined it up, and then with my tweezers I shoved it into the gap, and it filled it quite nicely. So I then took it back out. I then primed it in the grey, so it wouldn't be white, and then just put it back into the gap using a touch of super glue on the end of a cocktail stick and my glue and glaze. So I put the primed piece in, let that dry and cure, and then it eliminated the most of the gap, and then I went back in with the putty. So I've done 2 applications of that putty. Excuse me, I've got hiccups. I then did 2 applications of the putty, let the 1 application dry fully, and then reapplied it again. And it's filled it in lovely. So when I'm looking from that side or this side, I can't see a white strip or some white if I'd have used my household putty or household filler or the actual milli putter, the green. But the only problem is the lip there, it's still prevalent, so I'm not going to use the putty to level the lip to the sidewall of the main fuselage. I'm going to use my normal household filler now. So now that grey's in there, and it's dried lovely. It's time to do the filler work. But I want to thank you for all your suggestions. I will be getting some Tamiya extra thin at some point once I get up to my local hobby craft, because on Amazon it's going for like £7 to £10 a bottle, plus postage on top of that, and the same on eBay. So I will be trying that little sprue little cubes with the Tamiya extra thin, because I've also been told that Tamiya extra thin is actually better than my Revell contactor. So I'm going to try that once I get up to my local hobbycraft. So with that being said, it's time to get cracking on with the rest of the filling. Right, I've now done all the filling that I need to on the canopy. When I'd left you, I'd just put the AK interactive grey filler on, the grey putty. So what I've done is I've just got my normal household filler, went over where I'd done the grey putty, remember, for that lip where it was really prominent. So I've just done that. I filled it all in. I've left it 24 hours to dry, and I've not about 10 minutes finished sanding. So when I finished sanding on the normal household filler, I noticed there was some slight little dimples. So what I did is I got the grey putty and then just mixed it with a tiny bit of water and just filled those dimples in, and from this they look a bit better. I don't think the dimples are 100% gone, but it does look a hell of a lot better than it did. So it's only when the primer goes down that time will tell. So I've done all that. I've done that little edge there just in front of my finger. So all that's now level with the bottom lip of the canopy, and that's perfect. So I've just brushed all the excess dust away. On the other side, well, as you know, it's not so bad, so just spinning that round. So you can see there that I've only had to do a little bit on there. So, and I've sanded that down. There's no dimples on this side that I've got to take care of, so that's perfectly fine. So what I've done now is I've just masked off the canopy. I've left the bit of the canopy exposed where that's actually got to be the grey. You've got the bit at the back there as well. Turn this back round again. I've exposed some of the canopy as well, because you'll notice on the actual canopy itself there's like little square pieces that are sticking out a little bit. So you just put your tape just above those little squares. So that's what I've done. So now the filling's been done, this is now ready for primer around the canopy anyway. Right, welcome back. I'm now standing outside at the side of my house, just outside the back door, and I've now finished the primering on where I'd filled in with the household filler on top of the AK interactive grey putty. You can see where it's been primed over. It ain't perfect, although my models are never perfect, to be honest, but I like it the way it is. Maybe I could have done a better job, but you know, I'm going to leave it at that. It's a hell of a lot better than having nothing there and then that gigantic lip on the underneath. On the other side, when it weren't as bad as this side, again, it's not looking too bad. So that's all lovely and primed. I've also put the antennas on, if that's what they are, because my aerospace knowledge ain't great. So there's 3 on this side, and you've got 3 on this side as well. Those are all glued in and primed. So this primer is now dry, so I can now start the main grey base coat.